Hi guys, welcome back to Step by Step with me, Shelby Church. Today's episode is going to be about how I got out of my flop era and how I went basically from like a community college student to making $1 million a year, 1 year. Okay, I don't make that every year, but 1 year I did. And so that's definitely a part of the story, a part of getting out of my flop era. Also, quick note, if you are watching on the vlog channel, half of this episode is going to be on my vlog channel and half of the episode is going to be on the new Step by Step podcast YouTube channel. So go subscribe to that channel so that you don't miss future episodes. And if you want to see the second half of this one, I decided to keep the first half on just because I know some people haven't subscribed to the channel yet because I just made it. But I'm going to be transitioning the episodes over to there so I can continue to post vlogs for people that want that. Also want to mention the audio quality is going to be not as good this episode, and just a little life update in general. If you saw the last episode, you saw I did leave LA because, well, I had to dog sit actually for Monica. That's why I left. But also there are wildfires in Los Angeles right now. I'm safe from them. I didn't technically have to evacuate. My place is far enough away, but the air quality is really bad. I had to come out here anyway, but I did have to really rush to pack and I forgot to bring my good podcast mic. So I was really bummed when I realized that in the car ride over, but I think consistency is so key, and that's something we're going to talk about today. So I'm recording this episode anyway with just a lavalier mic. These are still pretty good quality. Like, I use them for all my YouTube videos. Obviously, I wish I was using my actual podcast mic, but I think it's okay. We can have one episode like this. Like, I think we'll survive, right? That's what's going on. I'll probably be in Palm Springs for a couple more days, and then I'm going to head back to LA. I talked about the wildfire a little bit in my last podcast episode. This is not going to be about that, so I don't know if I want to like go on and on about it. I've personally been scrolling and seeing so much about it. I almost need a little break now because at this moment there's really nothing I can do except donate money, which I've already done. But anyway, let's get into the episode that this is about. I'm going to be talking about my flop era and how I got out of it. So a flop era really is just kind of a silly way of saying you're on a downward trend. Things are not going well. Things were once maybe going well and now not so much. Maybe you're making less money. That was the case for me. Maybe you're losing subscribers. You just are not progressing and you can't really figure out how to. And to be honest, I think it's kind of normal in life. We're kind of taught that it's not. We are taught in school that it's just a linear progression, just exactly, each year you progress a little more. And I think even in the corporate world, they can recreate that. If you're an entrepreneur or the business owner, what you're going to see is some years you're going to make more, some years you're going to make less. And that's life. That's normal, actually. But in the corporate world, they can still make it even if it's a bad year for the company. They can still promote people and have that work. But even in the corporate world, people can have a flop era. You can lose your job. You can not get the promotion that you thought you were going to get. Like, anyone can experience a flop era. It really sucks and it can feel very all-consuming and like things aren't going to get better, but I'm here to tell you that they totally can. Everything is temporary, especially a flop era, and as long as you keep trying and persistent, like, you can get out of it. And sometimes you don't need to be doing things that are that different, but just it takes time for things to work out, We plant the seeds of things and it's going to take months or years even to see the benefits of it, whether that's starting a YouTube channel or a business or whatever. It can take a long time to see success with these things. So I'll talk about my flop era. I would say it was really when I was like 21, 22. I had been successful on YouTube up until that point. It's crazy to say. I think I was making like 6 figures a year, or even when I was like 20 years old from it, because I just really went hard on that lifestyle niche. So some people refer to this as the saturation era. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's basically this time where all of these, we called them like beauty gurus, would make morning routine videos, getting ready for school, DIYs, things like that. And it just worked for some reason. Like, you did these certain things in the videos or the thumbnails and it worked. You would get 100,000 views or more every video and you could kind of just count on it. It was like very predictable. And things changed eventually, as they always do. You know, the YouTube algorithm, people get older, they don't care about that content anymore. But it was really working. I was making good money doing this for my age, and I was pretty comfortable in it. I wouldn't say I was super passionate about it. You know, I didn't really care that much about like morning routines and stuff. Like, it was kind of fun because you could definitely get into it with like the cinematic shots and everything, and the editing. It could be fun, but I was not that passionate about the actual topic. Like, the videos I make now, I find a lot more interesting. So going through a flop era ultimately ended up being a really, really good thing. And I'll kind of get into why later, but just to paint a picture more of my flop era, you know, suddenly it was like the algorithm changed. I was making the same videos, but they weren't doing well anymore. And sometimes, you know, I was going from getting like 100,000 views a video to sometimes like 20,000, 10,000, you know, 80%, 90% decrease. Like, that was crazy. Not just even cutting in half, but more than that, like dramatically worse. People just, it seemed like, did not care about my content. I would also say my personal life was not great. This was the time that Monica had just moved back to Seattle. So I felt super lonely because we hung out together a lot because we both didn't go have like a traditional college experience. So I hadn't had that experience where you make a bunch of friends at college. Like, I had some YouTube friends, but it's just very scattered in LA, and like I felt lonely. I felt, you know, I had like some friends, but like not as many as I do now. Like, I feel like my social life now is so much more fulfilling than it was then. And, you know, that was just, I think, a circumstance of not going to college, honestly, but also just not putting in as much effort because I had a built-in buddy. Like, my sister lived with me, and so we could always hang out, you know, and we would hang out with other people too, but it was just different, right? So there was that. I also just felt like, you know, I wasn't super passionate about the content I was making, and that sucked too, because it's one thing if things aren't going well, but you're having a lot of fun with it. No, I was burned out. I hated it. I actually started taking community college classes at Santa Monica College again because I was like, maybe I should quit YouTube. Like, maybe this isn't for me anymore. Like, I was seriously second guessing the whole thing. I literally took a physics class, you guys. Like, I was taking these classes you need to take to transfer to like a UCLA or something like that. And weirdly, some of those classes actually helped me with YouTube. Yeah, things just were not working. And anytime you're not progressing, it's just kind of depressing. It's just like, even if you're staying the same, it's not exciting. I feel like progress just feels really good, right? And I was not experiencing any of that. In fact, it was a downward trend, so that really sucked. Yeah, it was really difficult to be losing subscribers, and I knew like, okay, I've got to do something. I was just really worried. I was actually extremely anxious at this time, and it's probably the closest thing to depression I've ever experienced too. I mean, I would say that I was probably depressed, but every day I'd wake up and be like, oh God, this sucks. But I got myself out of it. And there was a number of things I did to help that. And the first thing I'm going to say, because this is going to help no matter what your circumstance, if you're not doing it, number one thing I really started doing was working out every day for really my mental state. It was not to look physically different, honestly, even though it did have that benefit. But like, I was really anxious, and working out basically took that away for the time that I was doing it, and it gives you those endorphins, and I felt better after. Working out, if you've read the book The Power of Habit, I read it a long time ago, like during this flop era time actually, they say working out is a keystone habit, which basically means it influences other habits and overflows into your life in a really positive way. And I've totally noticed that anytime I work out, I crave healthier foods. I am more productive the rest of the day. I have more energy usually, unless it was like a really hard, crazy hard workout. But if it's like a good, moderate workout, then I end up having more energy. I'm in a more positive mood. It just, everything about it just helps. I feel like you even sleep better later. So that was one thing I started doing. I started going to Pure Barre classes because my friend Lucy had been doing that. And I would go with her, and I realized after these classes, like, wow, I feel so much better. I would feel horrible before, like not motivated, awful, honestly. And I would go to this class, forget about everything else. And afterwards, I just felt amazing. And that is something that I think is important to put into your routine if you're not already doing it. So that was number one thing that that helped was adding a workout routine. No matter what you're doing, that's going to help you get more motivated to get your life together, get out of your flop era. And also, it kind of made me have like a glow up. I definitely started to look better after I started doing that. I feel like I was holding like fat in my face or something that I didn't even realize. I don't know. Also, I think when you get older though, your face kind of thins out. So maybe it was just that. Not sure. Anyway, not really about aesthetics. Flop era is really not about that. It's more about how you feel and also more career related, I would say. So you can exercise all you want, but I had to make some other changes if I wanted to figure out what I was doing with my life, you know? And so one thing I did start doing, like I said, was taking those community college classes, and that helped take some of the pressure off YouTube, and it actually made it more fun again because I just did it more in my free time. And I didn't feel like this has to work, you know? I was like, okay, I'm working towards something else and I can still do YouTube. So I still consistently posted every week. I think that was key, is I didn't give up on it. I didn't actually quit. I was kind of forging this other path maybe, but I did not give up on YouTube. I was still making a living from it. So I kind of had to, I guess. That helps. I consistently kept posting, but I was trying different things. So rather than the morning routines, the beauty videos, those kinds of things, I just couldn't do it anymore. I decided to try photography videos for a while and tutorials on how to do that, because I was like, okay, this is something I know about. Like, I've taken film classes. We're just trying to figure out what my new niche was going to be. And I wasn't really sure if photography was it, because I like photography and videography, but I wouldn't say it's something I could live, eat, breathe, sleep, you know? Like, honestly, how I feel about tennis. I could be a tennis channel, but I don't think anyone would watch that. So yeah, we got to be a little realistic, I guess. But I just kept trying a bunch of stuff. I would do photography videos. I would do, I don't know, just like any idea I had, even if I wasn't sure if it would do well, because nothing was doing well. So it was kind of freeing. It was like, well, I might as well try this idea that sounds fun and interesting to make to me, because it's really not a loss if it doesn't do well. And funny enough, that's when things started to kind of do better. And I was experimenting more with the style of videos too, and the editing and everything. And it took a couple years, honestly. It wasn't like in a month things clicked and started working again. I was, trying different styles of videos for like a good year or two before I really found my next like niche and my next like style, and everything started to just feel like it was working. And it wasn't how I expected it to be. It's like you plan things and you try and set goals, but things unfolded kind of differently, not how I expected, kind of better than I expected. Yeah, basically when things started to really work, I remember it was after posting photography videos for like a year, like videography tutorials, things like that, just trying different things. I made this video about working out, actually, because it had really helped me. And I tried a new style of just doing a voiceover and using copyrighted music. Actually, I used copyrighted music in that video because I thought it made it way cooler. And I had a lot of fun making that video, editing it, really. Shooting it was actually it was like raining and I was in Seattle, but I loved how it turned out. And I was like, whoa, I think I just like found a new style, because it just worked. And I knew it worked because I couldn't stop watching my own video, which does not usually happen when I make a video. Like normally once I'm done editing, like I'm over it, but it's a good sign if I want to watch it again and be like, whoa, what did I just create here? So I knew that was good. I was like, I think this new style is something I'm going to do. And I would have never really gotten to that had I not lost subscribers and even started going through that flop era. I would have just continued with what was working. So I'm glad I found the new style because it was way cooler. Like I was way more proud of it. I was excited to show it to people. Whereas my videos before, I was like, don't look them up. Like I would meet someone and be like, it's okay, like don't look it up. That was cool to have videos that I was more proud of. And I continued to try different things, both with YouTube and in my personal life. So even just like random stuff, like me and my friend Adrian did an improv class. So random, but it actually was just a fun, different thing that I feel like made me grow a little bit as a person, just trying different stuff. I also tried to make a company, but it failed. I mean, this was a while ago. I feel like some of you guys might remember Shutter. I tried to make a website/app where you could hire a photographer or videographer, kind of like Airbnb, like just a peer-to-peer marketplace where you could hire people, because I always found it kind of difficult to find good videographers on shorter notice and whatever, and I just wish I had like a little Airbnb for it. So I put a lot of time into that and like did this accelerator, like pre-accelerator program. Me and my friend Anne-Marie, who we worked on it together, we had to do this like pitch and this like whole program for it, and it felt like this whole, I don't know, thing that I learned a lot from, even though it didn't really work out. Turns out if people want to hire a photographer or videographer, they want to work with the same person, and they don't want to go back to an app and pay a fee because they found someone that they like. With Airbnb, it works because you never meet the owner, you know? And even with Airbnb, they do lose people because they'll take it off the platform and stay at the same place again, but not that many people are repeat, so yeah. Anyway, this is not about the business model of Airbnb. So I tried that. I was just trying a bunch of random stuff that I really hadn't tried before. And if you want to hear about the rest of how I got out of my flop era, you can go to the second part of this episode on the step-by-step YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. I will have that down below. Or if you prefer Apple Podcasts or Spotify, I'll link that down below too. So second part of the episode will be over there. All right, see you guys there.